Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 250. What a nice round number, 250 weeks posting that weekly outlook. Let me know, shout out in the comments if you are enjoying them. And as always, you know what we're going to be doing, having a look at the markets, how they developed this week, what kind of opportunities we had, and most importantly, what we can expect for the upcoming week. Now, this week was extremely choppy, and it was choppy for a reason, which I'm going to tell you exactly right now. So let's get into it. Alright, so we're gonna get started with the news once again, and I do hope you would agree, but last week was extremely choppy, especially for the USD pairs. Apart from the AUD and the NZD that were influenced by the commodity prices and stuff like that, we had GU, EU, and like pairs like that that just consolidated a lot. We had the JPYs moving pretty nice, but overall you can see this week, so Monday we're starting with nothing, which is a skip day. Tuesday, definitely tradable potentially. We have this consumer confidence. So we also have a German CPI here for the euro, which is nice. But then look at Wednesday. God damn. CPI for the Aussie, JPY interest rate, euro CPI, ADP employment change. So this is also important for the USD, right? Employment cost indexed, home sales, and then interest rate for the USD. And then press conference. Like crazy. But it's very good that we're getting this out of the way right now, and it's not even August. So we're getting pretty much the most important news release. That is the USD pretty much interest rate decision. We're getting the Bank of Japan interest rate decision. We're getting some CPIs out of the way. And then on Thursday, we're also getting the Bank of England interest rate decision out of the way, right? And then of course we have like PMIs, unemployment claims, also very important. So I think Wednesday, it's a skip. So Tuesday, it's also going to be super 50-50 because it's going to be awaiting pretty much the most expected news release, which is the FOMC press conference and the funds rate, right? And the JPY. So Tuesday 50-50, Wednesday is skippable until this one comes out, all right? Thursday is 50-50 also. Why? Because it's before NFP. So what a crazy week. And I think during weeks like this, it's always good to pretty much be patient and sacrifice 1 week. Like, I promise you, take a vacation this week, go do something else or study or like just do anything else apart from trading. And then the incoming month of August, which is usually defined as a choppy month, the summer month, right? You're just gonna trade fresh after all of these news are out, and then you're pretty much gonna be getting a clear direction. Because right now the market is pretty much going to be manipulating. It's gonna be waiting for all those news. It's gonna be making some potentially random moves, right? It's not always the case, but there is a high chance it's gonna be very tricky to trade this week. So do you want to position yourself in tricky markets? Probably not, okay? So be aware of this, which is gonna make our analysis pretty simple because most of the pairs are anyways choppy. So of course, monitor the economic calendar throughout the week because it's big. Not only do we have a week absolutely packed with news, but we're also having the monthly candle closure. So pretty much it's the last 4 days of the month, which is usually a tricky time to trade, right? Usually you want to be catching like the second and the third week of the month, which is usually when the market is expanding and overall printing that monthly candle. And then pretty much the last week, not very high probability. However, right now on the DXY, we are having that weekly bearish imbalance that the market kind of came into this week, but did absolutely nothing. So when it comes to the USD, the DXY, it was super choppy. And you know why it's choppy right now? Because next week, the market is going to start making the moves. The market is pretty much awaiting for all those news releases. And then maybe next week we can start expecting some sort of a move. But again, it's quite uncertain because we don't know where exactly it's gonna move. So I'm overall bearish on the DXY, but that can change very fast. We're tapping into this weekly imbalance. We also have this overall big buy to sell to the left. You can call it an order block, although it's not tapped yet. The daily time frame, like look at this. This week it was just absolute chop. And I felt quite lucky that I took a win this week on EU because it could have literally been a break even or a stop loss, taking into account all of that chop that is happening right now. So weekly bearish, daily absolutely unclear, and hourly time frame absolutely horrendous. So guess what? I don't have absolutely no outlook on the DXY. I have no idea what it's gonna do because the daily is telling me nothing, the forward is telling me nothing right now. The only time frame that is telling me something is the weekly. So based on the weekly, like the market can maybe pull back a little bit deeper and then start flushing. The market can of course start flushing already on market open because we're trading from that weekly zone, right? So maybe we are expecting bearishness. But hey, we're having interest rates, we're having CPIs, we're having unemployment rates, we're having so many things that the market can even rocket higher. Who knows? Okay. So that's my tip for you. Again, I don't have a bias on the DXY. I have no idea what it's going to be doing. So the key for next week is to just wait, especially wait for the whole Wednesday to pass. So I'm not going to do flow with the market on Wednesday because it's pretty much going to be the day with the biggest news. So I'm going to wait for the news to be over. And then maybe on Thursday I can do an outlook. We'll see about that. But again, my biggest tip going into next week is just be patient and wait. Sacrifice 1 week for that DXY to show you where it wants to go, and then pretty much you have 2 or 3 or even 4 more weeks ahead of you to pretty much capitalize on the clear markets. EURUSD, pretty much the same story. We are pretty much, on the monthly time frame, we're also very choppy on the monthly time frame, sweeping the previous monthly high. Now I do still have this as a potential target. Is it gonna get reached? Is it not? We're gonna see. Now here as well, similar to the DXY, we're tapping into that weekly bullish imbalance, right? And then of course we have one below that the market could potentially also seek. Although I don't really want to see it pull back that deep, it doesn't make sense. Like if the market is gonna go higher, it should just go higher from here. Can it go lower all the way down and then still make a push higher? I don't think this is very efficient for the market to make something like that. But overall, tapping into that weekly zone, tapping also into that very massive sell to buy to the left. However, it's not giving us any signs that it really wants to hold. Like there is the weekly tapped in, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, doesn't do stuff, doesn't do anything. Then we actually had this daily bearish imbalance. The market tapped it, reacted, and then Friday is an inside bar. So absolutely choppy price. Like it's still not ready to commit in neither direction. So once again, like in this case, you just have to wait. Like even if you wait for a day or two, it's gonna give you a little bit more clarity about where the market wants to go. Because right now it makes absolutely no sense to try to forecast because you literally don't know, right? Of course, you can have a call about where the market could potentially go. You might say, okay, it's gonna go bearish, sure, but do you actually get a setup? Well, myself, no setups at all. The hourly time frame is absolutely choppy. Sure, it tapped into the daily, reacted, and it came back, and right now it looks like it's reacting again. You can go to the 1 hourly time frame and try to force something, but you are trading in a massive consolidation right now. So I am waiting for, so pretty much I'm waiting for Wednesday. So I'm not gonna trade on Monday, I'm not gonna trade on Tuesday, I'm probably even not gonna trade on Wednesday. So the only trading day is gonna be Thursday, and then Friday is NFP, which also makes Thursday a little bit more 50-50. Now, Tuesday could be a trading day after Monday because on Tuesday we do have news. But again, what could Monday do in order to offer me a setup for Tuesday? Of course, we just have to show up and see. I would preferably want to see something on the hourly time frame. So if right now the market starts expanding very nicely on the hourly time frame and maybe makes an imbalance, then I can presume that potentially it's driving me into this low. So maybe this is a short setup that I'm willing to take on Tuesday. But if the market like chops on Monday and then Tuesday opens and still inside a chop, I'm definitely skipping. So pretty much my requirement for the DXY and for EURUSD is to get an absolutely clear setup that makes sense and to pretty much wait for the market to show me where it wants to go, because right now it's totally unclear. So again, guys, my biggest tip is to just wait this week. GBP/USD also kind of starting to give us a little bit of a wick on the top after it's pretty much taking out this massive monthly swing high. So after taking a monthly swing high, we can expect a weekly potential pullback. And there it is, pulling us back into that weekly bullish imbalance. We, of course, have one a little bit below as well, something that the market could potentially seek. Also, we have this very nice, very big sell to buy as well. You can call it the order block, sell to buy, demand zone, whatever. It's tapping in right here. This weekly candle is nicely bearish. It doesn't give us a lot of signs that the market wants to eventually turn bullish. And we kind of looked at it this week with the Fanatic community, trying to potentially look for long signs, but it just didn't provide. It had this daily bearish imbalance, but it just kept sliding away from it. It didn't really offer any single long setup. And then yeah, Thursday ended up going down. Friday, what I like about Friday is that it did not make a new daily bearish imbalance. So it invalidated it, which is a slightly bit of a bullish sign. But in order for me to look for longs on GU, which is, I'm kind of inclining towards longs, but it's just not providing them, right? So there was, for example, here a 4-hourly bullish imbalance that also broke structure, but it got invalidated during Asia before you can actually enter, right? So right now, even on the 4-hourly time frame, it's absolutely choppy. So what I would require from this price, if I want to go long, because it kind of looks very nice for longs, again, maybe start, sweep the lows, 4-hourly shift to structure, 4-hourly imbalance, pull back, give me a lower time frame confirmation, and then start looking to go higher, targeting that daily zone. So that is my bullish outcome on GU. As for the bearish one, well, of course, if it just keeps flushing lower, if it starts getting deep inside this zone here, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then at the end, it might end up taking out this low. But this we're going to be knowing next week. So this week, what I'm focusing on GU is to see if it's actually going to turn bullish. Okay. And the time frame that I want to see turn bullish on is the 4-hourly time frame. So I want to see something like this, a very nice momentous shift with an imbalance, preferably also a break of structure, okay? But then, of course, from that imbalance and from that little OB here, I want to see the entry confirmation. I want to see that the market is actually holding from here, okay? So looking for exactly that same pattern, but of course, to also look for confirmation. So that's GU. Overall, again, more on the long side, but we also have some GBP interest rate this week. So again, making a forecast from now on is also a little bit useless. So again, wait for the interest rate for the Bank of England and then look to strike. Aussie dollar, NZD dollar, even the JPYs, there are the pairs that are moving right now. And I actually had a member of the Fanatic team explain to me a little bit the fundamentals. So pretty much the Aussie and the NZD are commodity currencies, okay? And they're dumped due to decreasing commodity prices. So again, latest data from China indicates lower demand in commodities. Copper inventory was likely higher. Iron ore got weak demand. So fundamentally not good for the Aussie, and that is reflected in price. I did forget that the Aussie and NZD are commodity currencies. For example, like the CAD, the Canadian dollar, is also a commodity currency linked to oil. All right, so if you're trading these kind of currencies, you potentially have to monitor things like this. And you can see JPY is buying back bonds, JPY bonds rising, speculative Bank of Japan rate hike next week, which we saw we're having a Bank of Japan interest rate decision next week. So also very key for the JPY, right? And then you can see these factors are helping JPY to go up. Okay, so just a little bit of an explanation here for you about what is happening with the Aussie, because it's crushing down like crazy, right? Very nice bearish week right here, and then this week just kept melting, taking out this weekly liquidity. So right now I would expect, like, if I want to take a short on the Aussie, I would definitely love to see a daily pullback. All right, and I mean, look at this. This just didn't go a day without flushing, which is absolutely crazy. But what is also interesting is that it didn't really give good 4-hourly setups. I looked at it, but it just kept flushing, and it didn't really, because at times like this, it always looks a little bit extended, and you're always like, okay, I want to wait for a pullback, but the market just keeps dumping. So I do hope some of you maybe got some shorts. But for example, right now we have a lot of daily imbalances, like even one right that formed here on Friday. One here, one here, one here, here. They're everywhere. Okay. So I would expect some sort of a pullback, right? And then is it going to immediately continue lower? I don't know. So if we have some sort of a pullback like that to create the weekly high, okay? And then if I start seeing bearish order flow starting to kick in on the daily and on the 4-hourly time frame, then it will be quite interesting to continue shorting the Aussie, because again, it's just massively bearish. So why wouldn't you short it? Okay. So that is my plan, waiting for a daily pullback into one of these two zones, potentially even to retest this broken structure, and then to potentially see the 4-hourly time frame start turning bearish again. Right now, again, it's very extended. There was a little short trade here. I had the one community member that took this one. That was nice. But then apart from that, you can see even on the 4-hourly time frame, since it started dropping here, it just didn't pull back. So currently, once again, looking for these daily imbalances to get filled, then a nice 4-hourly time frame structure shift with an imbalance, and then potentially looking to get in like that. Now, of course, based on all the news, we can start having even a deeper pullback. That's okay. We're gonna, of course, show up, see what is happening, but Personally, I think we're gonna, maybe we can even have a weekly consolidation candle, because if we have a weekly consolidation candle, then we're gonna have a weekly imbalance, because I don't think the market's gonna get to this point to invalidate a new weekly bearish imbalance. So maybe this week can open, maybe consolidate a little bit, maybe close as a candle like that, print that weekly imbalance, and then from next week, tap into the weekly imbalance, and then start seeking lower. So once again, this is one of these weeks that you just have to let them pass, see what all the news are gonna do, and then strike clear next week, okay? But that is my outlook on the Aussie, overall bearish, but keep in mind that it's in a candle 3 of a potential weekly bearish imbalance to be created. We already had one here, but the market is not gonna pull back there, all right? So it's very likely going to form a new one, and then use that new one to then fuel a move lower into the incoming weeks. So again, be patient. The NZD is crashing even stronger. Here we have this liquidity point, that monthly swing low, that is the potential target. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, it is just expanding and expanding and expanding like crazy to the lows. So it's getting very, very, very close to these kind of liquidity points, which probably means that we're just gonna flush to them a little bit more, right? Because it's very little to just take the liquidity and then maybe start to pull back. Of course, until then we have this daily imbalance. We also have like that daily imbalance right here. So if I do get any sort of pullbacks here on NZD/USD, that could be nice to potentially drive us into these liquidity points, okay? But if the market opens and takes these liquidity points, then you can start expecting a pullback, because that is going to be a massive monthly liquidity, all right? Monthly, weekly liquidity. So I would then start expecting a potential pullback, similar to what I told you on Aussie dollar. We're taking liquidity right now, then the market can potentially print like a weekly candle like this. Let's say that this is going to be a bullish candle like that, to print that weekly bearish imbalance, right? And then potentially from that trade into next week. So yes, I mean, it's massively expanding, which makes it a little bit hard to get in right now. But if we do get some of these daily pullbacks here before we take these two liquidity points, then I will be willing to take a final short. If not, then of course wait for that liquidity to be taken and then start expecting a pullback. So that's NZD/USD, quite simple. If this happens, I'm gonna take it. If this happens here, I'm not gonna take it. All right, so let's see. Next on the list is Mr. Gold. Let's have a look what is happening here. So once again, we're having that monthly bullish imbalance that the market can eventually gravitate towards, but we first need to see the lower time frame actually show us that they want to go there. Now this week we're tapping into not this one. We're kind of tapping into this guy here, but it went a little bit deeper. It's not the cleanest price action right now. Again, we are coming from this monthly massive swing high, which is also the all-time high, and we're right now making a massive correction. Now the weekly candle is an overall indecision with a bearish body, which suggests that the bearishness was a little bit more than the bullishness. And then of course you can see that on the daily time frame. There was one nice short on gold. Like the first short was of course from that daily imbalance, and then there was a forward imbalance as well printed as a result of that to potentially drive us lower. Now Friday also formed another tiny daily bearish imbalance. So this one right now is a little bit 50-50. Because I'm kind of bullish on it, but it can also definitely turn bearish and start maybe seeking, for example, that monthly zone or at least this weekly zone as well. So if the market's going to hold from that daily zone, it's going to be very nice to target the weekly. So that is a rather simple setup. I really do like it. Now, of course, we do have all the news that are going to make it potentially hard to take that setup. And yeah, on the hourly time frame, you can see it's coming in rather bullish. So on the hourly time frame, we actually, I also had a member taking that long, taking a Friday reversal, hourly shifting the order flow, tapping into the imbalance, and then actually following through with another one. So you can see that currently the actual order flow is a little bit bullish. So this also prints as a plan demand sandwich where the daily is bearish and the hourly is bullish. So eventually, if the market is going to go bearish, I would wait for a setup like that. So to show me that the hourly time frame is going to react, fail, and then potentially look to take a trade like this. Okay. So I don't really want to say that I'm bearish on gold because I'm not 100% bearish. But so far, these are the signs that it's giving me. And I believe that if this daily imbalance right now holds, but then it's going to encounter that weekly, which is once again going to give price a little bit of a reaction. So once again, rather tricky. But if we do start getting bearish signs from this daily bearish imbalance, I would be quite interested to be looking for shorts on gold. So let's see, right? That is my outlook on gold. In the comments, let me know, gold masters, what are you thinking? Are we gonna shift bullish right now? Are we gonna maybe make another bearish move coming into the lows? Are we eventually even going to reach that monthly imbalance? But again, in order to reach that monthly imbalance, we first have to fail this weekly one. So of course, reading the hourly time frame and the daily time frame is going to be very key. So right now, this is how I'm going to be looking for. Once again, really patient, waiting for maybe Monday to tap into that daily imbalance, waiting for it to react, then waiting for it to tap that hourly imbalance, waiting for it to react. And then if it breaks the reaction, and even if there is a hourly imbalance right here, then that could be an amazing short targeting that weekly zone. So that's my plan on gold. Let's see if it plays out. But again, absolutely low expectations because we have all the news and they can absolutely change the scenery. All right, let's have a look at the JPY. So USD JPY about to print a very nice bearish month, which gives us a lot of bearish intentions overall right now. On the weekly time frame, we are making a massive expansion candle lower. So we did print this weekly bearish imbalance, but the market didn't pull back into it. It just opened the week and it just crashed going lower. This is according to me the next liquidity point. The market came very close to actually taking it, and probably another broker it already took it. FXCM not really. USD JPY on Oanda maybe. Yeah, okay. So usually if you have like something so close, I've found that on another broker it could be taken. So then of course with that massive weekly expansion, we can expect something on the daily, and we already have it. We're having a beautiful daily bearish imbalance that is already giving us signs that it's being respected, which is very nice. So that could be a potential, I don't want to say easy short, but it could definitely be a viable short into that liquidity area if of course the 4-hourly time frame allows it. Now what the market is doing right now is it tapped into this 4-hourly bullish imbalance. It gave a reaction, but at the same time it printed a 4-hourly bearish, which is already giving us that very recent bearish order flow. So in order for me to take this trade, I will need to see the market tap into this 4-hourly zone and start giving me 50-minute or even better 1-hourly signs that it wants to go down. And then if of course I'm given that, it could be a very nice short into that liquidity point because it's getting very close. And then after this, with the news, again, you have to be really careful when the news are. So they're on Wednesday. So for example, if you're looking to take that short, it should be on Monday or Tuesday to then potentially drive into that liquidity, and then the news can do their thing. But again, it is low probability because trading before the news is usually going to chop around. It's not going to be really nice, and then you might suffer some stop losses. Then the news are going to come out. They're going to make the very big whipsaw, and then you still have to wait for the market to settle a little bit. So again, like, you don't have to trade every day. You don't have to trade even every week. So again, be careful. But this one, honestly, in terms of price action solely, it does look very good for a short. So let's see how it works out. First, fall is untapped, showing us the rejection, showing us that the market actually wants to guide us going lower. And then I do think this target is very viable. So let's see. Let's have a quick look at Euro Yen. So also very nice bearish month printing so far on the weekly time frame. Also very nice weekly expansion, taking out this weekly liquidity. So what is potentially next? The next one that I see is all the way down there. But as we're taking weekly liquidity, I would expect the daily rebalance, which is what we're doing right now. So very similar setup to USD JPY. Taking weekly, massive weekly expansion, daily imbalance, daily pullback, and right now on the 4-hourly time frame, it's probably, yeah, you can see, for example, Euro Yen hasn't yet tapped into that 4-hourly zone, while USD JPY tapped and is reacting. So they do look quite similar. This one also has a very tiny 4-hourly bearish imbalance here, right? This setup overall doesn't feel as high probability. But it could be definitely something that you might consider going bearish like that. So this is what the market tells me. The thing that I don't like is that we're taking weekly liquidity, and we're also in this very nice expansion candle on the weekly, which means that the market could also consolidate this week in order to form a weekly imbalance to then potentially pull back into next week. So not the week that is coming in right now, but the week after this. So it's once again 50-50, but if you start getting these bearish signs on the 4-hourly time frame and even on the 1-hourly time frame that the market wants to guide you going lower, then guess what? You just follow the market, because in this case the liquidity point is rather clear. I would even target the low-hanging fruit, that is this low, okay? So of course, if USD JPY shifts lower, then that is potentially going to take Euro Yen with it. And right now, let's have a look at GJ. Pretty identical setup, I would say, this one to UJ. And GJ, same monthly candle, rather bullish. There is nothing to potentially target on the monthly, which is interesting. On the weekly time frame, once again, we're having that massive expansion candle. So this is potentially candle 2 of a new potential weekly imbalance. So next week, we should not touch this line here because that is going to invalidate a new bearish imbalance. The market in this case, it's taking also that weekly liquidity, which is very important. And you can see we are rejecting away from it. So right now, it's either want to form a weekly bearish imbalance to then trade next week, or it's either going to pull back into something on the daily to rebalance, which is exactly what it is doing, right? And then on the 4-hourly time frame, yeah, pretty much the same as the rest, with this very tiny 4-hourly imbalance to potentially give us the signs that this daily zone potentially wants to hold. So yeah, I mean, they all look the same. I do get the same setup on all the JPY. So of course, which one you take, that is the problem with trading a lot of pairs and looking at a lot of pairs like that. GJ is also, for example, having the Bank of England interest rate. So maybe I would take EJ because the euro doesn't have as many news, but they're all JPYs. And we're having Bank of Japan interest rate decision this week. And we know, as I told you from this comment, of course, we are expecting a speculative rate hike next week and an intervention from the Bank of Japan. So, of course, trading the JPYs right now is a little bit 50-50. So they all do look bearish. It's possible that the market comes in maybe to sweep that previous daily high, right? And then potentially go. So be aware of that. But if that happens, then once again, you're going to need the 4-hourly time frame to shift bearish once again. Okay? So those are the JPYs. They all do look the same. The main question is, all right, is this 4-hourly zone going to hold? And is this daily zone also that we're trading on all the JPYs also going to start pushing price lower towards this low? All right, it's time for indices starting from SPX. So we are potentially going to have a monthly bullish imbalance, which if it taps next month, I'm already going to start buying some stocks, because I think I didn't buy on that monthly pullback, which I really regretted because I did expect it to go a little bit deeper. So yeah, an overall rejection candle on the monthly, and on the weekly time frame right now, we are tapping into this unfilled weekly imbalance, and you can see we're kind of starting to react. There is nothing bearish, which is a good thing. And yeah, then on the daily time frame, so we're tapping into this one, and on the daily time frame, it is giving us this daily bearish imbalance as well. So right now we have a supply and demand sandwich when the weekly time frame is bullish, and then the daily time frame is coming in. It's actually coming in hot bearish because it's coming in from that previous daily imbalance as well. So yeah, then the question is, okay, what happens after we tap this daily zone? Are we gonna start getting the bearishness, or are we just gonna react and break it and then maybe start continuing higher, maybe even towards all-time highs? Let's see, right? That is a rather significant pullback, I would say. A 5% pullback is a healthy pullback, I would say, right? Of course, I would love to see even a 10% to get us a little bit more into a correction, right? So let's see, right? Let's see. But pretty much my plan is to be looking for the market to tap into that daily imbalance on SPX, and then literally just wait to see what this daily imbalance is going to do. Is it going to start giving me bearish signs to continue lower, or is it going to come in, react, break, and then potentially that can guide me higher? So that's the plan on SPX. So what is extremely interesting about NASDAQ is that it actually did not make a monthly bullish imbalance. There it is. So that is usually quite a bearish sign that could lead us all the way below this low. Now that is a very big claim to make, because that means the market has to crash 20%, right? Is it possible? Probably, because we are quite extended right now. Even if I go to the quarterly time frame, yeah, we are extended, but there is nothing really to pull back to, right? So let's not make too many speculations. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, we're having a weekly bearish imbalance, which the SPX did not make. So tech stocks are dropping like they're hot. And here as well, we're tapping into this. Yeah, I'm not even gonna draw it. We're tapping into that weekly imbalance together with this candle here. That is your base candle, order block, demand, whatever, tapping in. And yeah, so right now it's quite uncertain what is gonna happen. This is once again a 10% drop, which is more of a correction right now. So it's actually good time to start getting some stocks. I already did some investments already on pretty much at the bottom. I bought some stocks that were also with a very nice correction. So currently we're having this daily bearish imbalance on Nasdaq, taking out, tapping into that weekly zone here. So again, it's all about like listening to what the market wants to do right now. Is it going to tap this daily and then potentially show us bearish signs to go lower? That's gonna be great to buy even more stocks. Is it going to tap the daily, maybe react and then break that reaction and start burning full hourly bullish order flow? Then that could guide us into the weekly. Okay, that's Nasdaq, as simple as I can make it. Now, of course, anything else could happen. We ended up Friday being a little bit choppy. We had a very nice expansion going lower. It's starting to show us pretty much bearishness on all time frames, because the monthly time frame is not going to have a monthly bullish imbalance. The weekly time frame is already shifting bearish. The daily time frame is already with bearish order flow, making like a lower low, lower high, lower low, right? So that is pretty much your confirmation of an order flow in a trend. So all I see is bearishness. So let's see for how long that's gonna go. If we pull back a little bit lower, I mean, making this call of the market, where is it? Of the market going all the way down here, that is a very big call to make. So I would potentially, let's say, for example, this low looks a little bit more viable, which is also going to be retesting this overall zone. That is something that I would expect to be a little bit more viable, but let's see. Okay, let's see how this daily zone holds. If it starts giving us bearish signs, then I do believe we can have an easy low-hanging fruit of this zone and also this weekly liquidity point. So let me see and let me know in the comments, what do you think? Are we gonna drop a little bit more Nasdaq? What are your expectations? Why do you think this is also happening? Let me know in the comments. Unlike the others, US 30 is actually rocking higher. So always being the black sheep, it does move when the others are doing something different. And as you can see here, we had this weekly zone. So I had a member actually taking that long trade here. So weekly imbalance got tapped, beautiful. On the daily time frame, we came in here on Wednesday, right? It gave us an overall reaction here on Thursday, also invalidating a new daily bearish imbalance, which was a very good sign. So then he pretty much took it on Friday, capitalizing on this very nice move. Now it's tapping into this guy here to give us a little bit of a reaction. If this is gonna go bullish, like the 40 time frame really has to hold. So there is the weekly, all right? And right now we're getting this hourly bullish from the weekly, which is a very good sign, but we're also tapping into daily bearish. So let's see, right? So something like that. And then seeing 1 hourly signs could potentially be good for longs. But US 30, I just don't like US 30. It always moves different. It's either going to be choppy when the others are moving and when the others are flushing. Right now, this goes up. I do think it has to do a lot with the sentiment around Trump right now. The Dow actually getting a little bit more positive news, because again, you have to look at the companies that are in the Dow. So for example, the tech stocks like the Nasdaq are dropping like crazy. The S&P 500 is a little bit stable, while this one right now is rocketing. Okay, so why? That's something that we have to explore. But I don't trade US 30, so I don't really care. Okay, so that's how I look at it. Overall bullish right now, but of course, keeping in mind what the rest of the indices are doing, I would expect this one to also start falling down at some time. So if you ask me, it's a little bit low probability to trade US 30, but currently it's giving me bullish signs, so I'm gonna do what the market is telling me. A lot of you guys are requesting oil, so let's have a look at WTI light crude oil. I hope that this is the right one to look at. So on the monthly time frame, we are sweeping the previous monthly high and we're printing a very nice bearish monthly candle that could potentially drive us into that monthly low here. Now then, dropping onto the weekly time frame, we are having this bearish weekly imbalance that is printing right now. But at the same time, we are also encountering some sort of support to the left. Although I think this weekly bullish imbalance could just be a reaction point. Why? Because we had that bullish one here. And if the market was going to go higher, it should have gone higher from that imbalance, because that imbalance also aligned with this overall OB here. Okay, so right now we're getting deeper. We're also printing that weekly imbalance. So the question is, are we going to pull back all the way up here to flush? Or are we going to, let's see if we have something on the daily? Not really. Okay, so I really wished we had something on the daily, but also the only thing we have on the daily is that guy, which also resonates with the weekly imbalance. So quality time frame, weekly tapped, reacted, came in again, reacted, and right now it's printing a little bit bearish. That's a strange price action on oil, right? I've never traded this one. I used to trade it in my very early years. So I am overall bearish on oil right now. The question is, where are we gonna go bearish from? So it does look like we are getting very close to that liquidity. So I would love to see something form on the daily in that case, because it's getting into a lot of support on the left. It's tapping into that weekly. You can see it's also having that daily zone that it's reacting from. Then we're going to have this daily zone that it's going to react from. So I really need to see the quality time frame, or even the daily time frame, to give me a little bit more bearishness. I don't think the market's going to pull back all the way up here, although it's quite possible. But what I really wish to see is a daily bearish imbalance and some daily bearishness. Okay, so let's see, for example, in that case, how the market is maybe even going to pull back here and how it's going to start going lower. If it does, then that is going to be a good confirmation for me to go short. And if we start shifting the order flow to bullish, then I'm going to target that weekly zone. And then from that weekly zone, we can potentially be looking for shorts. So at that point in time, oil is not extremely clear to me. And I think as we start getting closer towards that monthly low, if we start printing some bearish order flow, it is going to get a lot cleaner. Right now, it's kind of a little bit 50-50, but more on the bearish side. All right, here we are at the recap. DXY, USD pairs, JPY pairs, they all need time because we're having a lot of important news into the incoming week. And pretty much the price action this week was absolutely choppy. Why? Because we have one of the most important news releases that we're going to have into the incoming week. So the key is to just wait. Wait on the DXY, which means if you're waiting on the DXY, you're waiting on EU. That is not giving us any clear signs about what it wants to do. We're waiting on GU, and GU also has Bank of England interest rates for the pound. So you also have to wait, which also doesn't have very clear signs right now. I will be looking for more bullish signs if it wants to go up. If not, of course, I'm going to go short. AUD and NZD massively flushing based on the commodity prices. So if they give us brief pullbacks into the daily time frame, that could be nice to maybe continue going short. But still, I would still wait for the DXY to align a little bit before I even start trading them. Gold, a little bit 50-50, a little bit more on the bearish side. So I really want to see how that daily zone is going to react here. And if it's going to start burning bearish order flow to then guide us into that weekly zone. So let's see. The JPYs are all giving us the same setup from a daily imbalance after taking weekly liquidity. So you really have to wait for a lot of confirmation that this daily zone is actually going to hold. Not to say that we're having Bank of Japan interest rate decision. That is a lot of... that is very important because there is a speculation that they're going to hike the rate one more. So that is going to impact the currency a lot. So the JPY can get even stronger, which definitely means that all those pairs can continue flushing. But it looks like that this is already being taken into account with this massive flush. So again, 50-50. You better wait. Indices, especially SPX and NASDAQ, are giving me definitely a lot of bearish signs, especially NASDAQ, which also closed a monthly bullish imbalance. So right now it has daily bearish, weekly bearish. Which one is going to hold? That's what we have to see. Meanwhile, US 30 is giving us bullish signs, which is quite strange. And oil, a little bit more on the bearish side, but definitely would like to see a little bit more order flow. So for next week, I am personally overall skipping, I think. Especially Monday, Tuesday could be a tradable, then Wednesday is the big day, then Thursday could be tradable, but then Friday is NFP. So much better to just skip the week, let the market play out, let it do whatever it wants to do, and then start showing up when the market is going to get clear. But it's already going to be August, and August is usually one of the worst months to be trading. So again, I guess it's vacation time. So let me know what you did this week. Let me know how you performed. Let me know what trades did you take. Let me know what is your favorite pair for next week. And I'm going to talk to you on the next video.